Hey everybody, it's Paul and welcome to another installment of my Blackrock Foundry raid guide. In this video, I'll be covering Oregorger on heroic flex difficulty. Now, Oregorger is a very movement heavy fight with lots of abilities and is probably one of my favorite fights in this expansion so far. To start off, I'm going to cover the tank swap mechanic in this encounter, which is going to be called Acid Torrent. It takes a little bit to cast here at the start, but what's going to happen is he's going to target a random ranged member with Acid Torrent. You're going to see it go off here, and Charlie's going to help me track those projectiles as they go to the range group. Now, the way Acid Torrent works is that it will target a random rage member, but it will hit the person that is closest to the boss in the cone area of effect that it basically casts in. So what you want to do as the tank that's not currently tanking the boss is you want to position yourself between your ranged group and the boss himself so that whenever Acid Torrent goes off, it hits you first. Now, sometimes the position gets a little awkward and you need to kind of run in and adjust on the fly. Also, as soon as Acid Torrent hits you, you want to taunt the boss and kind of spin him away. Now, during this phase, your ranged and your melee are going to each be dealing with an ability that causes them to move. For the melee, this ability is called Explosive Shard, and for the ranged, it's called Wretched Blackrock. What Explosive Shard does is it places a shard that's explosives down on the ground, and it's going to explode. So the melee are basically just moving between two fixed points the whole time. Wretched Blackrock actually creates these piles of shit over here. They hit real hard, so your ranged have to be really quick and in one stack, moving together to help deal with the damage that is caused by that. And on top of all this, there will be 3 successive casts that you will need to interrupt called Blackrock Barrage. We set up 3 groups of 3 interrupters each, including the 2 tanks, most of the melee, and 1 ranged member per group. Okay, and Oregorger is now at 0% mana and going into his transition phase. And this right here will make or break the fight for you. So I'm going to pause the video here shortly, and I'm going to go over the explanations of how he can move through the room. So first thing first, we have a diagram here on the bottom right of the screen. I'm going to post a link to that in the description below, so that if you want to explain that to your raid members, you can go ahead and click that link and get the image yourself. Each one of the colored dots corresponds to a raid marker that we have on the ground right now. Each one of the stars represents a safe area for each one of those little intersections, and the little red lines on the walls represent an area where Oregorger can run up to and stun himself on. Now, the way I've paused the video right here is that Oregorger just hit one of the interrupt locations at blue. What this means is that Oregorger can now either choose to go to the east, which is towards green, or to the west, which is actually going to be all the way around that alcove and to red. The raid members that are positioned at blue should move to one of the star locations near blue to be in the safe zone here. The biggest thing to remember when you're thinking or talking about Oregorger's movement is that whenever he hits an interrupt point, he can only go one of 2 ways. He can never come back the way that he just came. So from the location he's at right now, he can only go to the east or the west. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and roll the video so that you can see how we react to each one of his little rolls here in this transition phase. Okay, now the point of this phase is to actually kill as many of these ore crates as you can so that they drop the ore that's within them. And Oregorger knobs it up and gets himself back to 100% mana, at which point phase 1 will repeat itself. Whenever you see Oregorger about to move, you want to make sure that you're out of his hitbox, and consider his hitbox basically just a big square that fills up the entire corridor even behind him. So next time we actually go into this transition phase, there is a second one. I will go ahead and roll our mumble so that you can hear how we're calling out each one of the incomings when he's coming to one of these markers. We basically just designated one person in each one of the areas to call out when Oregorger is coming to that location. Now, as a tank, when Oregorger reaches about 70 or 80% of his mana, you want to start following him a little bit and be ready to pick him up when he reaches that 100. When he reaches the 100, you will actually have a few seconds to get into position near him and then turn him so that you can basically just repeat the positioning from the first phase of the fight. And the way that the room is set up, this is actually possible at each one of these corners. It might be a little bit disorienting at first, but once you do it a couple of times, you'll nail it every single time. So while we go through this we'll call it first phase, I guess, let me actually explain what the benefit of having the off-tank hit the Acid Torrent is. Acid Torrent bases its damage on the physical or just overall damage reduction that the target it hits first has. So the projectile actually splits into multiple projectiles once it hits the off tank, and it does damage based on the damage that it did to the first person that it hit. So what we actually do is we rotate a healer cooldown or tank cooldowns on the off tank themselves so that it doesn't hit the raid as hard as it normally would. Again, once you're comfortable enough with the movement of the fight, this is something I would highly recommend because it makes the raid damage going out during this phase a lot easier to handle. And the absolutely worst thing that can happen is if the same tank gets hit by an acid torrent twice in a row. This will basically cause the raid to wipe because the damage that's going to go out to the range members will instant kill most of them, and it's really not recoverable. And a final comment on the positioning. The way we do this, the ranged actually does line of sight the tank at one point. So what we end up doing for the main tank positioning is we actually have him at this location where I'm standing at right now so that I'm in line of sight of healers, as is the off tank. So there's these little things that you'll figure out as you go through the fight. And again, like I said, I'm going to roll Mumble here for this entire second phase so you guys can kind of see how we handle it.
Across.
Be ready, be ready. He's rolling.
He's rolling, watch out.
He's rolling.
Dennis, I'm good.
Go to your corners.
Where are you, Mike?
I'm at yellow, and he's rolling yellow.
Okay, stay focused. Red, be careful.
Green.
Yellow.
Red, careful here. Don't tunnel. He's coming red.
Blue. He's gonna go green. Nope, he's going red.
Red.
Fucking A.
Yellow.
Red, be
Just
ready.
needs one more, man.
He's going green.
Oh, green, okay.
And that's gonna be
Red,
it. Just
back up
guys,
to
get to
yellow.
green.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Alright, and then as soon as he reaches phase 1 for the third time, you have until he reaches 0 energy to basically kill him. He will hit an enrage after that point. Another thing we found that helps is having somebody actually call the Blackrock barrages and count them as 1, 2, and 3. That really just helps you focus on that part of the fight and hit your interrupt when you need to. As a tank, it's a real fun fight. I will tell you that it is a little overwhelming the first couple of times you do it because the acid torrents come really quick, and typically you're on one of the interrupt groups as well. So while you figure that out, take it kind of easy and make sure that you really understand how to move when you are going through phase 2 of the fight. Alright, and that about does it for the fight. He's just about dead here. Again, once he's at this point, you're just racing his mana bar. So hopefully that helps. Again, thanks for watching. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions, or stop by my Twitch stream on Tuesdays or Thursdays, and feel free to ask questions there. Again, this has been Paul. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.